for the time that good morning. Thank you for the time that has been given. I will be presenting my take regarding video number 5 on digital computer, which is how computers work, CPU, memory, input, and output. First, we will take a look at input. What is an input? An input is a term given to hardware devices that will convert any type of physical action into a data. This means it can come in any physical shape or form and will vary depending on what the user of that computer wants to do. Here we have some examples of what an input device is, like the most well-known ones, which is a keyboard, mouse, and a touchscreen, and the lesser-known ones like infrared system, bionic hand, and trackball. Now we move on to processing and storage. There are two key components within this section, a CPU. A CPU or central processing unit is an integrated circuitry component within the computer that receives and responds to instructions that will drive the computer's computing or a goal-oriented task that has to use computer technology's power. And the second one is a memory. Memory is the holding place for instructions and data that computers will use, and it works in tandem with the CPU. There are two types of memory that CPU primarily use, random access and read-only, a RAM and a ROM. Although both RAM and ROM can indeed hold and store instructions, CPU will usually tend to be with RAM, since RAM is a primary high-speed memory, which means it can help CPU process information faster while also taking less time, and it also work as a temporary storage when CPU is currently processing ongoing data. RAM can be seen working in the background through the system's task manager. It will visualize how much weight and power they're storing and giving. ROM, on the other hand, although it is also a primary memory, it does not have the same speed and capability as RAM. ROM is usually used for trying to run hardware through BIOS programs. If a CPU wants to use ROM as a memory, then the data must be transferred into RAM first. The most prominent and visible way to spot ROM working is when user is trying to boot up their computer. Now we take a look at the output. What is an output? Output is a term given to hardware devices used to convert an already processed data or information from the CPU into a humanly perceptible form or into a physical machine readable form. Humanly perceptible form just means whatever from the output is, at least one of your five senses will feel it. But usually, on the context of computer, it's only three, which is hearing, seeing, and feeling. There are some examples of an output device. We have monitor, projector, GPS device, 3D printer, speaker, and VR headset. So how do they correlate with one another? Well, first, the key that has been pressed will be converted into a special control signal through specific on and off switches. And then the CPU, with the help of the memory bus, will then grab the instructions needed to process the data. After receiving the instructions, CPU will then calculate on how to quote-unquote draw or process the received input. After the process is finished, the CPU will store the results in the memory. The processed data will then be transferred to an output device where it will once again be converted into something the user can perceive, or in this case, the letter A. All of this process from the moment a user is typing their keyboard all the way to when what they're typing is being displayed in the monitor is not done one at a time, but simultaneously on such high speed to the point it regularly crossed the millisecond and even the microsecond check mark. This has been my presentation. Thank you for the time and sorry in advance if I have any bad wordings or misspellings.
Okay, Yehezkiel, it is a good presentation, I think. And you deliver your presentation assignment in English and it should be done. I think you should be brave and good enough for train for speaking English, and it is a value added for you for your
Yes,
grade. I have already give your grading 100, a perfect score for this assignment.
thank you, sir.
Okay, next we move to Marcia. Marcia, you already raised your hand. Do you want to do your presentation, Marcia?
Yes, ma'am. Wait a minute.
Okay, please do your assignment presentation.
Okay. Thank you for the time that's giving to me. My name is Marcia Papona, and now I will present the point that I get from watching the video. All the computer do the same four things. There is input that take input from the outside world and convert it into binary. And there is memory to store the information. There is CPU to calculate the information. And finally, there are output that take information and convert it into a physical output. Now let's look at a simple example of how input travels through a computer and becomes output. When you press a key on your keyboard, let's say it the letter of B, the keyboard converts a letter to a number. The number is sent as binary ones and zeros into computer. Starting from this number, the CPU calculates how to display the letter B pixel by pixel. The CPU requests step-by-step instruction from memory, which tell it how to draw the letter B. The CPU runs this instruction and stores again the results as a pixel in memory. And finally, this pixel information is sent in binary into the screen. The more complicated test that is input or output, the more processing power and memory a computer needs. Modern computers often have multi CPUs to process all that information and many gigabytes of memory to store it. The conclusion is no matter what you want to do with the computer, every single action is about inputting information from the physical world, storing and processing that information, and getting some output back into the physical world. Thank you.
Okay. There is a good conclusion, Marcia. And also there is you presenting your assignment very well. I give you a perfect score, 100 for your assignment. Now, our next activity, we will learn these topics again, but you learn this by answering feedback and evaluation. So you can open your e-learning, Unsrat at Learn application, accessing by via Inspire. You log in with your account and you find the topics in Inspire. What is computer digital? And then you will conduct feedback and evaluation. Feedback and evaluation you will conduct in Indonesian language. You will answer multiple choice problems in certain time. The feedback and evaluation activities will begin at 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So I hope you all do this feedback and evaluation. Please don't be confused or don't be scared. This is online activities, online learning activities. For there is no implication for your final grade. I just want you to practice with these online activities because after you graduate, there is a lot online activities like this that you will conduct to joining organization as a government officer. So I just want to give you a experience how to using online tests. Just give you a experience. So you just relax and do this feedback and evaluation learning activities. Just enjoy it. If you don't have enough score, it's okay, because I tell you these online activities we will conduct it every month. Yeah? Every month we will conduct an online test learning activities. My point is that you have an experience. So when you do the online test for joining government officer, you have already have enough experience. Okay, so let's prepare yourself. Join the Unsrat at Learn, my course, Computer and Society, and then you will open topics what is computer digital below the group assignment. There is a feature feedback and evaluation. This feature will be open at 9 o'clock. So there is almost 30 minutes to prepare yourself. Okay, there is any questions from students? So if you have no questions, let's we close this Zoom meeting and you prepare for your feedback and evaluations learning activities. Okay, good morning. Thank you for your attention, students. Well done for the 3 presenter today. You do the good assignment presentation. Okay, good morning. See you next week.